Hey guys, I'm going to read you the first page from my short story. What is the last thought that goes through your brain before you die? Allie Jacobs often spent time trying to figure this out. Sure, it was an odd question for a 26-year-old to wonder on a daily basis, but as a person who worked in death row, it intrigued her. Today was no different. As she glanced over the paperwork for the one patient she was seeing today, the California sun blazed through the tiny window by the front desk. It was a beautiful day in San Rafael, and as the sun warmed the back of Allie's neck, she wished that she were laying on the beach. She headed for the only door at the end of the stark white hallway, where Eric Rista was already waiting. Allie always tried to convince herself that she was a regular doctor at a reputable hospital, but the sight of her patients strapped to a chair by their ankles and wrists and their fluorescent orange jumpsuits always instantly reminded her that she was in no way where she wanted to be, or what she wanted to be for that matter. As she walked in, Eric Rista glared at her with hatred and cried out, "I hate needles!" A bit startled, Allie jumped, but then continued walking over to the sterile white cabinet and began taking out her supplies. "We just need to do some tests and blood work before you can be with the other inmates," Allie explained to him. "Besides, it's just 2 pinches and then the IVs are in and I don't have to poke you again. Aren't you lucky?" Eric Rista sneered at her sarcasm. She tried to ignore the look he was giving her as she placed the sticky heart monitor pads on his muscular but tattoo-covered chest. After turning on his heart monitor, she wrapped the latex tourniquet around his arm, tied it tight, then glanced up at the door where she noticed a tall-built security guard who was standing just outside the doorway. She could tell he was trying to listen. "Okay, here we go." Rista jerked as she pierced the epidermal layer of skin, but Allie effortlessly slid the intravenous needle into the 28-year-old's right arm. Before he even had a chance to react, she practically had the other side done. "Now just sit back and relax," she said as she taped the IV lines and ports down to his arms. "The worst part is over." Somewhat relieved, he unclenched his rather large fist, and with a grin on his face as if he had somehow cheated death, he sat back and closed his eyes. Allie knew he had no idea what was going to happen over the next half an hour. "Okay, this first bag is going to make you feel really relaxed." She hung the IV bag on the hanger and then inserted the IV port with the first breath of death. 5 grams of sodium pentothal, which knocks out the patient. Next, with the patient now unconscious, came a saline flush, and then another bag with a second type of drug was hooked up. Pancuronium bromide paralyzes everything in the human body except for the heart. Once that bag was finished, another saline flush followed. The final step was potassium chloride, which causes cardiac arrest. Before 20 minutes could elapse, Eric Rista was pronounced dead. Sometimes Allie hated that she lied for a career, but the people she lied to were criminals, and it was her job. It was what she was paid to do. No, it wasn't what she dreamed she'd ever be doing, but it paid way more than flipping burgers, and it paid the bills, so for now she would have to deal with it. After all, she only had a few years of school until she would become a real doctor. Hope you like it.